east, the Israelis began by cutting off Jerusalem from the bulk of the Jordanian army in the north, which also found itself quickly under fire. Further offensives north of Jerusalem seized control of the Judean hills. Within 3 days, most major centres west of the Jordan were in Israeli hands, including the ancient cities of Jericho and Bethlehem. Once again, it was the potent firepower of the Israeli Air Force that broke the threatened deadlock, as an emotional King Hussein acknowledged in defeat.
The battle was waged against us mainly from the air, almost exclusively from the air, with such overwhelming strength and continued sustained air attack on every single unit, on every single formation of our armed forces, day and night, right till last night.
Thereafter, Israeli troops swiftly occupied villages and towns of both religious and political importance to Muslims, Jews and Christians alike. Here, Jericho, whose walls had fallen without a fight, just as in biblical times. Jordan, a reluctant ally of the Egyptians, had, in population terms, lost half its kingdom. Bethlehem was among the last Jordanian towns to be occupied. Little resistance was encountered because, lacking reinforcements, the bulk of the Jordanian forces had been skillfully withdrawn. Also on the move, a trickle at first, the people whose plight would prove to be the one matter that prevented any attempt at a lasting peace, the Palestinians. The formidable natural obstacle of the Golan Heights dominated the northern offensive against Syria. Israel's strategy involved 3 main thrusts to take Quneitra. 2 further offensives literally bulldozed their way to command the road to Damascus before a United Nations ceasefire line halted the advance. The Golan Heights dominate Israel from a plateau up to 1,200 metres above the Jordan Valley. With gun emplacements, deep trenches and dug-in tanks, the Syrians had converted the area into a deep defence zone. From here, sporadic artillery and gunfire was directed onto Israeli settlements. Briefing the officers who would lead the assault, the Israelis stressed how Syrian deployments obviously relied on the difficulties of the terrain to aid their defences. Israeli armour moves north. Freed from fighting in Sinai after the Egyptian collapse, heavy brigades moved swiftly through Israel to face the Syrians. Syrian panic was heightened by Israeli airstrikes. It was a costly advance, but by the end of the first day, the Israelis had broken through at several key points. From then on, the Syrians abandoned their carefully constructed defences and withdrew rapidly. Their outstanding victory gave the Israelis defence in depth for the first time in their history. Instead of being threatened by neighbours, Israeli forces now occupied the areas from which those threats were mounted. Now they posed the threat themselves. A matter for celebrations.
Without doubt, the most personally moving moment for Israeli troops was the capture of the old city of Jerusalem, the location of an ancient Jewish holy place revered by the Israelis. The fighting over, thousands of joyous civilians, students, and troops streamed toward the Mandelbaum gates. It's the first time in 19 years that Jews have been allowed to visit and pray at the site of the ancient Temple of Solomon. Jordan had kept the old city barricaded since the declaration of Israeli independence. It was here that Israeli troops acted more like tourists than fighting men, obviously in awe of their surroundings. The sacred Wailing Wall, where Israeli Defense Minister General Moshe Dayan prays, pledging never to give up the old city.
Arab propaganda was warning them that there would be no safe haven for them in the occupied territories. The desire to flee was further fueled by the fact that Jordan and other Arab countries paid them remittances. These would be unavailable if they remained in the West Bank. Few did remain to support the suggestion of a Palestinian homeland in the West Bank territory, and the opportunity to use their plight as a political weapon was not lost on the defeated Arab nations. Refusal to trade conquered lands for security guarantees fueled the refugee problem that would return to haunt Israel time and again, even until today. Hundreds of thousands of uprooted Palestinians were on the move, many the same people that had fled the Israeli War of Independence 20 years earlier. With Arab countries refusing to absorb them, many professed a desire to live in their homelands in peace.
They are happy to live anywhere in peace.
Yes,
everything that they need, peace, everywhere. Nothing except peace.
Israel's Moshe Dayan publicly tried to allay their fears, but privately, most Israelis feared sabotage campaigns if the refugees stayed.
I'm not doing anything to stop them by force. I don't think that anyone should stop anyone if he wants to leave the country. I'm trying to find out why they leave, and if they are scared or something like that, then to lift that, to ascertain them that there's no reason to leave. But if they do want to leave for a personal reason, then we do not stop them by force.
The refugees, however, continued to struggle over the Allenby Bridge into unoccupied Jordan. Whatever the promises, they believed Israeli occupation would be harsh, and their plight highlighted the problem of statelessness and increased the appetite for revenge that led to the Yom Kippur War of 1973.